Tonight's story comes from person who work when the rest of us are asleep. A security guard. These are allegedly true night shift horror stories from Reddit. Turn off the lights, lock your doors, and maybe don't apply for that overnight job after this. My name isn't important, but for context, I'm a 29-year-old guy who used to work as a night security guard in a mid-sized city on the East Coast. The building was a 30-story office tower in the downtown area. My shift was 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., Monday through Friday. Most nights were dead quiet. The building had 3 underground parking levels, a small lobby, and then floors of offices. On paper, the job was easy. Sit at the front desk, watch the cameras, and do a patrol every hour. The pay was decent, and I liked the idea of getting paid to basically babysit an empty building. There was only one thing that ever really bothered me: the basement. The elevators went down to B3, but there was a separate older stairwell that went even lower, to a locked level on the plans called B4, mechanical. It was supposed to be sealed off years ago. On the camera system, the feed for B4 was just black, no signal. If you scrolled through the cameras, it skipped right from B3 to the lobby. The older guards joked about it. They called it the forgotten floor. One of them told me, half serious, that if I ever heard anything from down there, I should ignore it. Add one normal creepy night first, footsteps, elevator opening empty, etc., to build tension. For the first few months, the worst thing I saw was a drunk guy trying to sleep in the stairwell and a couple making out in the parking garage. Then one night, around 2:30 in the morning, I heard the elevator ding. I looked up at the monitor. The screen showed the elevator at B4. That feed was not supposed to exist. At first, I thought it was a glitch, but the little digital display clearly read B4. Then the arrow pointing up lit, and the elevator numbers started counting. B3, B2, B1. Lobby. I stood up from the desk. I remember my heart rate climbing, because no one was supposed to be able to call the elevator from a floor that didn't exist anymore. The elevator doors opened into the empty lobby. No one stepped out. I found a subtle detail. The only thing that changed was the temperature. A wave of cold air rolled out of the elevator, like it had been sitting in a freezer. I could see my breath fogging in front of me. I walked over slowly, trying to act like I was still in control. I leaned forward and called out, "Hello?" The elevator was empty, but there was a smell. Not rot, not garbage. It smelled like wet concrete and rust, like a long damp basement that no one had aired out in years. Continue with camera glitches, noises from B4, maybe a figure. After that, weird things started happening once a week. The camera list would flicker, and for a split second, I'd see B4 hallway appear between B3 and lobby, then disappear. Sometimes I'd hear the elevator ding when the cabin was clearly sitting on lobby on the monitor. Once, I watched the doors open and close on the feed with no button pressed and no one inside. I kept writing it up in the incident log, but the day manager just told me it was a software bug. Now the main incident. The night it went too far, I was alone. The other guard had called in sick, and the building was extra quiet because of a snowstorm. Around 3:15 a.m., I heard a metallic bang echo up from the stairwell door. Not the elevator, the stairs. My stomach dropped. Because the only people who ever used that stairwell at night were me and the cleaning crew. And the cleaners had gone home hours before. The sound came again. A slow, heavy bang, as if someone was dragging something metal against concrete. Have him investigate with flashlight. Against my better judgment, I grabbed my flashlight and my radio and pushed the stairwell door open. The stairwell was lit by sickly yellow emergency lights. It spiraled down past B1, B2, B3, and then the sign stopped. On the wall where the B4 sign should have been, there was only a square of cleaner paint, like a flag had been removed. The banging came from below. I stood there for a full minute arguing with myself. And then I started walking down. With every step, the air felt colder and heavier. The smell of wet concrete got stronger. When I reached the landing, where B4 would have been, I saw the door. It was different from the others. Solid metal, older, with flaking gray paint. A thick chain and padlock were threaded through the handle. On the wall next to it, someone had sprayed over an old warning sign with black paint. I could just make out the faded letters. Authorized personnel only. The banging stopped. And then I heard it. A voice, faint, muffled, directly behind the door. Hello? Is somebody out there? It sounded like a woman in her 20s or 30s. Panicked, hoarse, like she'd been screaming for hours. Please, please, I'm stuck. Can you open it? My first stupid thought was that someone had gotten trapped. Maybe a contractor, maybe a trespasser. I called out, "Who are you? How did you get down there?" There was a pause. Then the voice said something that made my blood run cold. I took the elevator to B4. The guard said it was okay. Now add the twist. She knows his name or details that no one should know. I hadn't told her my name. I never told her I was security. Can you hurry? Your name. Please, he's coming back. Hearing my own name, spoken from behind that door, in a voice I'd never heard before, almost made me drop the flashlight. My radio crackled on my shoulder, with static so loud it hurt. Through the static, I thought I heard another voice layered under it. A low male voice, whispering something over and over. I stepped back from the door. The woman started pounding on the metal from the other side, screaming now. "Don't leave me down here! Please, 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 he's coming!" But the more she screamed, the more wrong it sounded. Her words started looping. The exact same sentence, same pitch, like an audio clip being replayed. "Please don't leave me down here. Please don't leave me down here. Please don't leave me down here." The banging didn't sync with the voice anymore. I realized I wasn't listening to a human being in real time. I was listening to something that had learned how to sound like one. I bolted. I ran back up the stairs, heart slamming in my chest, nearly slipping on the steps. The whole way up, I could hear two sounds at once. Her repeating plea and something else moving on the other side of that door, slow, heavy dragging, like chains being pulled across the floor. When I burst into the lobby, the elevator doors were open. The display read B4. The inside of the elevator was dark, like the lights were off, and a thin layer of water glistened on the floor, as if it had just come up from a flooded basement. I hit the door close button 3 times and backed away. Then I pulled the breaker that shut the elevator down. I called my supervisor, made up a story about a possible intruder in the basement, and he told me to stay upstairs and wait. The next day I came in early just to check something. The camera list was back to normal. No B4. The day manager brushed it off, said, "Oh yeah, the old mechanical level. They sealed that place after an accident back in the 80s. Don't worry about it." When I asked what kind of accident, he just stared at me and said, "If you want to keep this job, don't go looking for that door again." I lasted 1 more week on night shift before I transferred out. Sometimes, when an elevator dings in an empty building, I still get that same sinking feeling, and I can't stop wondering if anyone ever opened that door, or if whatever's behind it is still practicing my name in the dark.